Hey guys, what's up? I kind of don't figure that many of you guys are gonna show up for this. But I have been getting a lot of emails slash comments on a video that I made about a year ago. So I just wanted to have like an open conversation with you guys about kind of where I'm at, if my position has changed on just my thank you cards over here. If like my stance has changed on the subject at all, which I mean I still stand by everything that I said in that video. It's still my story. So for those of you guys who don't know, I am gonna change. I forgot that you can like do filters. So for those of you guys who don't know, I actually have been on antidepressants for, this will be a year of my second round. So generally speaking, doctors do recommend that you, when you're on them, you wait 3 months to get the full effect, and then it's like a 9-month cycle. So I've done a 9-month cycle back in 2017, and then I got off of them, and then I got back on them in February of last year because I was suffering from postpartum. Well, actually, no, January of last year because I was suffering from postpartum. Hi, boo. Because I was suffering from postpartum. I had a miscarriage the year before, and so as far as what I'm diagnosed with, I have anxiety disorder, I have major depression, I have panic disorder, and yes, I see you. I've never actually been able to read the comments while I'm talking, so this is cool. But yeah, okay, so, and then I have suffered from postpartum depression, and I have postpartum depression, or I'm getting out of it currently right now because I just had my daughter in October. Almost like forgot there for a second. But essentially, like what antidepressants are supposed to do, or like what it is, it's called a SSRI. What I'm on sertraline, which is a generic version of Zoloft. There used to be hella like commercials about Zoloft back when I was a kid, and I feel like a lot of people don't really know exactly what it is, but it's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So it leaves the serotonin in the synapses of your brain for longer so that it can like essentially make you more happy, which is like a very brief and like abbreviated version of what it does. And there is obviously a huge controversy over whether or not they're healthy, whether or not we should be using them in society, whether or why we have to use them in society anyway. And I feel like we never really talk about it in the spiritual community because, well, I honestly don't know why, because I feel like a lot of us go through what, like we coin like dark night of the soul. And so I feel like, you know, there is kind of like a stigma and almost like a, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, like a preconception of, you know, someone who's in a spiritual realm or somebody who is a spiritualist, you know, they shouldn't be using any outside force to make them happy. Because if we're looking for happiness, we should be able to find it within ourselves, and that comes through self-love, which is totally 100% true. At least what I believe. But like at the same time, like I do support like integrative medicine, and these have worked for me. Like, and they've worked for me for a long time. They've worked for me multiple times, and I just want there to be like an awareness that just because you take a medication, it doesn't make you any less spiritual, any less of, you know, a good person. Just as I said, there's a stigma. I mean, there's a stigma around mental health. And luckily I feel like my generation is like breaking that down. And that's why like a lot of people, you know, they're talking about therapy more openly. They're talking about being able to, you know, just, you know, be okay with not being okay, which is something that as a society, like, has kind of been frowned upon, you know. And I feel like that's what's ironic is we are in a time now where we're openly speaking about this, but like the generations before us were living a life that was like a lie in a way, like through, and that's kind of what they're saying that we're doing with the medication. But it's like the medication hasn't changed like me as a person. What changes people as people, in my opinion, is like, you know, speaking from experience, like I know so many older people and people from the older generation who use alcohol to cope. Okay, so if we're looking at antidepressants versus alcohol, I mean, technically one is medication, like actually prescribed by a doctor, and then the other one is considered self-medicating. The whole point of either one of them is to produce more serotonin. That's literally what it's used for. Only one is more regulated. And this is kind of just like my stance with it. It's like, if you are already self-medicating, what is the harm in having something that you know is going to give you a consistent amount of serotonin to where like you like, and if it's what you need to cope, it's what you need to cope. Like, I'm here to tell you, I've needed it to cope for years. Like, I needed it before I even started using it. Obviously, like, as I said, like, or I tried to pre-record this video, so I don't really remember exactly what I said versus like in the live versus what I said in my video, but like, I've been suicidal. Like, I've been suicidal a huge, like, honestly, a vast majority of my life. And for some of you, like, if you're astrologically inclined, like, I have Chiron in the first house. So I was literally, and that's like natally speaking. So Chiron is the wounded healer, and the first house represents the body. So my relationship with just being on this earth and being in this body, I was born to essentially feel pain over it, you know? And that's honestly like a huge reason as to why I got into astrology in the first place. But there is like a huge conversation here that like needs to be had in this community, and that it's more than, you know, than just the dark night of the soul is what it is. And it totally, like, it's a rite of passage, honestly. We all have to go through it. We all are usually born, like, I don't know a single person who wasn't born into like generational karma or trauma. Like, essentially we all have trauma, you know, we all feel the same pain. It just depends where you've received it from like either whether it was your family or, you know, an abusive boyfriend, like, and we can go into a huge conversation about like, this is our soul contract we signed up for before we even, you know, incarnated into this reality. We have contracts. But, you know, there is like a call to, you know, find something that makes you, what I'm trying to say, if you need a break, a mental break, that's self-love, you know? A lot of people say that taking antidepressants, you know, it's just pacifying the issue. It's just a Band-Aid covering what you really like need to address. In my experience, you know, I've never felt like super numbed out. Like, I've never felt like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I've had side effects, but I've never felt as though I just like didn't know where my trauma was or what I was, you know, gonna eventually have to deal with. If anything, my best way to describe what it feels like to be on antidepressants is like, here is my problem. Here's my trauma. Here's all the things I've been through. Here's like my pain, my sadness, my anguish, my anger. And instead of being in the shit, which normally we're in the shit all the time, right? When we're healing and we're like knee deep in the healing, like you know when you're in the shit. I mean, most of the time, like, we're in the shit, but we're not like in the shit, you know what I'm saying? But like antidepressants make you feel like, here's my problem, here's the shit, but I'm standing on the outside of it. So like it gives you a different perspective. And if anything, like, okay, so if you guys have ever done psychedelics, if you've ever done, you know, any type of drug, you know, it changes your consciousness or like state of awareness. It's like that. Okay? And it's a sustained period of time. And that's kind of why doctors recommend for like doing like a 9-month interval. So if you're, because it really does take a while for it to work. It does take a while for it to kick in. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it's not like one day. That's why antidepressants aren't considered addictive. You can become dependent on having that like crutch, but it's not something that I could take, you know, one day and then feel, you know, balls to the walls, high tomorrow. Okay, like it's just not how it works. And okay, so serotonin, right? It's supposed to make you happy. It's supposed to make you feel just, you know, better in general. And if that's what you need to get through this part of your life, there is no shame in that. If that's what you need to, you know, fucking just get out of your bed, there should be no shame in that. Yet, like, there are people still commenting on that video that I made last year saying, oh, like, it's like some sort of chemical that's in antidepressants blocks your pineal gland. My baby is great. She's awesome. She's sleeping right now. I'm trying to like bang out this video. So I have not been like very present is like, I mean, yes, I've had postpartum, but also like being a mom is way harder than you thought it was gonna be. I mean, by you, I mean me. But yeah, man, I always lose my train of thought. Oh, but yeah, if you need what you need, you know? And like, I'll be the first one to tell you, like, I will support anyone who wants to be or who is considering getting on antidepressants. If like you are really at that point in your life, and I've been at this point in my life so many times, you know, I didn't want to live my life anymore. I didn't want to even get up out of bed. And it's really hard, especially now, like being a mother and looking at my child and being like, I love you so much, it hurts. I love you so much that, and I'm sure anyone who becomes a mom can relate to this, is the fact that like, especially if you have attachment issues, because a huge source of my trauma is attachment, which I mean obviously stems from like childhood, blah blah blah. We can get into a whole thing about that, but like when my daughter was born, like I never loved anything more. Like I'm in love with my fiance, like I'm in love with him, but the love that I feel towards my child brought me so much fear, and it brought me fear of the fact that like they're so small, they're fragile, like, and it's just a constant reminder of how fragile life really is. It's like my only goal right now is to, you know, take care. I'm like watching her on the baby monitor is like my only goal right now is to make sure that she's okay. And, you know, I can't do that if I'm not okay. So you kind of have to look at it as, I mean, the way I had to look at it was I am more than just myself right now, and I need to take care of myself so that I can take care of her. And like that's a really painful, like, and honestly, like it was a tower moment. Like I feel like my whole life has kind of been a tower moment, but the most beautiful time of my life was honestly the most scary time of my life, because I am so afraid that she is just going to, you know, get hurt in some way. And that's basically why like I had to increase my dose. I needed to go from, because originally when I made the video, I was at 100 milligrams, and then I went up to 150 after she was born because I was just like so out of sorts. I was crying all the time. How many moms out there have, I mean, and there are so many moms who do have postpartum, and I am a stay-at-home mom, which is, there's also called like stay-at-home mom depression, which is, it's difficult because so many people out there would kill to be a stay-at-home mom or kill to have the opportunity to stay at home. But being a mom is not easy. I don't feel like I have to like keep saying that, but I feel like a lot of people think that it's just something that comes naturally to everyone, and it doesn't. Especially people who, I didn't have any siblings, I wasn't raised around kids, my family has absolutely no children in it. Like, I literally had no experience. Like, my fiance taught me everything that I know about raising a child, which is ass backwards by, hi mom, which is ass backwards by the standards of society, essentially. And, you know, it's really difficult being in this community and also seeing how much, like, hatred is passed around or how much judgment is passed. Because I feel like, and this is something I've always struggled with when we're talking about religion, when we're talking about, you know, I went to Christian school my whole life, and it's like you're basically being told on a daily basis that everything that you feel and think is wrong. And that's, and I don't know how we got from like, this is supposed to be about antidepressants to a huge like spiritual discussion. I mean, I could probably talk about spirituality for days, but it's essentially, my point being is other people's judgments of you and what you need to be happy doesn't matter. Because we all have our own truths. We stand in our own truths. Like, this is my truth. My truth is that, you know, I suffer from postpartum depression. I have major depression. Like, I've been suicidal. I have anxiety. Like, there are so many things that, like, our society has trained us essentially to be ashamed to say, but like, I'm not ashamed to say that I needed help, and I got help, and I got the help that I needed in the form of a pill. You know, I am proud to say that I got it from a pill and not from a crack pipe. Like, not passing any judgments on anyone who does drugs, you know, to cope. Like, it's just not my truth. You know, this is my truth. This has worked for me. I know that it's regulated. I know that it's not sustainable long term if I want to heal properly. But this is what works for me right now. And honestly, like, or I mean, like, I don't know why that sounded like I was going to go into some weird spiel, but I have decreased my dose. So I'm currently at 50 milligrams where I started at 100. And this is what I mean by it's not something that is like a permanent solution. Because, I mean, for some people it very well may be. For me personally, like, I want to get to a point with my anxiety where, like, I feel more in control, and I feel like I am at a really good point in my life to kind of test the waters and see if I am capable of being off of my medication. Will I ever feel bad about getting back on my medication? No, because if I need my medication, I need my medication, you know, and that's part of being aware, part of being a spiritualist or anyone who, you know, is in this community. Like, you are aware, right? But I can't help but wonder if, you know, like, even though it's not inhibiting my ability to connect with spirit, like, could I be connecting more? And I feel like the connection with spirit will come naturally when I'm more connected with myself, which I do think could be helped by, you know, decreasing my dose right now. But that's my truth. That doesn't have to be your truth. Everybody's truth is obviously different. But yeah, I'll definitely, I mean, I'm going to keep you guys posted on how this is working out. I've been on 50 milligrams for 2 weeks now, and I feel a lot better. I mean, I honestly kind of did it like willy-nilly. That sounds weird. Like, unexpectedly. I just decided that I was going to give this a try. It was kind of inspired by my boyfriend, but you know, we'll see how it goes. And that's the only thing. It's just like, this is part of my self-love. Like, my self-love includes sertraline, okay? Your self-love may include, you know, shopping, which is also part of my self-love. But this is like something that we shouldn't have to, as a society, be ashamed of, because it is part of, I mean, who a lot of us are. And I'm not going to just like allow others to tell me like this is the wrong way of living my life, because my life is not your life. And if anybody tells you, you know, oh, you need to get off your medication, you can tell them to fuck off, and you can quote me on that, because nobody has the right, like, there's so many people out there who are benefiting from medication that they feel like they can't tell anyone about because of the stigma. And I just want to break the stigma. Like, hashtag break the stigma. I don't think that's a hashtag, but it would be cool if it was. Anyway, I'm kind of like rambling at this point, but as far as life updates and channel updates, like, I do plan on I do want to take a step back from love readings. I know that you guys love love readings, and that's kind of why I do them. My heart's not very much so in them anymore, because I'm obviously, as you can tell, someone who, I'm a little bit more progressed past that point. Not to say that, like, you shouldn't care about other people. Like, I just think that there are things that are more important in this world than how Tom feels about you. And that's kind of just like where I'm at. So I'm looking to kind of expand my channel in more of like a spiritual discussion arena, rather than like a tarot, like a love tarot arena. And I mean, I know that I'll probably lose some of you, and I mean, like, that's fine, because this, again, it's my truth. And I feel like I'm being disingenuous and not authentic, and it's not fair to you guys to, you know, just like promote myself as a exclusively like love relationship reader. I talked with a lot of my spiritualist friends about this, and we all kind of have like the same thing, like, or feeling about it. It's just, it gets old, you know? I feel like I wish that a lot more people were interested in like how they can, you know, get more on their spiritual journey, or like what, you know, find their purpose, find their like passion, instead of like trying to find their passion in the reflection of a relationship or in another person, or because honestly, it just like, I feel like it stifles creativity in a lot of ways. I also feel like, I mean, we have an Aquarius like new moon coming up, which is all about relationships. There's going to be a huge transformation in that regard. It's actually in my 5th house, so this is like a huge passion like project for me. And it's just, I don't know, it's really difficult being in this community and knowing that you guys want one thing, but feeling intuitively that the collective needs something else. And I'm still working on what that's going to look like. And that's kind of why I've taken a step back recently, that and the fact that obviously like I have a child to take care of. But that's what I meant by, in my last post, like, I'm burnt out, because I just want to do something that's authentic to me. I want to feel alive again. And honestly, love readings and things like that don't make me feel alive. These sorts of videos, like discussions about like, you know, real shit, makes me feel alive. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. So I am still kind of disillusioned in a way, but I'm looking forward to trying to find, you know, obviously like everything's a relationship. We have like, I have a relationship to this coffee right now, the fact that I need some. But you know, obviously, like, I want to work with you guys to figure out what we can do to kind of combine both of our needs. You know, everything, I think everything's in a relationship where, you know, and I want this to be like an equal give and take. It's just like, I also just, I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm realizing that like I've kind of laid down and sacrificed a lot of like my own wants and needs for other people, and I'm tired of doing that. And so I feel like a huge part of me doing that is, you know, doing it in every single realm of my life, and this is a huge part of my life. So this is the new me, this is my new channel, this is what I'm doing. Okay. Anyway, I pulled a card. I love these cards. This is a postcard, like postcards from Spirit. I really like these just because this, I don't know, it's more like spiritual messages, but this is kind of just like a collective reading, and also for myself included, because I feel like this is kind of like a heavy conversation. So let's see what Spirit has for us today. It says, "Dearest you, we're sending you waves of love and joy as we watch you reap the rewards of your tenacity and faith. We know how long it's taken for you to reach some of your goals and that you've had disappointments along the way. Right now, we suggest that you take a deep breath and fill yourself up with gratitude and tune in with the vibration of well-being. Temporary conditions may be trying to hypnotize you into seeing something else as your reality, but we know the happy rewards are on their way to you even now. Change is the only constant, so be open to it." Wow, that's really impactful. "You will achieve your dreams and more, we promise. But more important, your happy rewards will be gathered up in the small moments, the gentle breezes, the soft kisses, and the quiet commitments. Your happiest moments will be on the journey itself, not in arriving at the destination. You're surrounded by so much love and care. Can you feel us?" So, yeah, I feel like collectively we're all kind of just being pushed into like really, I mean, feeling gratitude towards the things that we have, and wishing less. Like my mom always says, you can wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up faster. So it's kind of just like recognize the situations that we're in and realize that the world is constantly in a stage of like ebb and flow, and the only thing that really matters is like taking count of what we have and being appreciative for what we have, which I've already started my morning off by doing that, by writing thank you cards for my baby shower that happened 6 months ago. So yeah, anyway, I hope that for some of you guys this was helpful, enlightening in some way, or if you just enjoy listening to me ramble and potentially like embarrass myself and say things that are moderately offensive, then I hope that you had a good time. And I will see you guys shortly, soon, hopefully sooner rather than later, once I come up with some new idea of what I'm going to do next. Also, if you like this type of video, let me know in the comments down below. I greatly appreciate that. And yeah, I love you all. Thank you so much for hanging around for like this 30-minute early morning discussion with moi. All right, bye.